Hi there, my name is Joellen Nordstrom. I'm here to assist you with your driver's license in Sweden. It's for all of those people who speak English, but maybe you don't read English so well. So what I'd like to do is basically summarize what's in this book. I do recommend that you buy the book. I'm not going to be reading from it. I'm not reproducing this. I'm simply summarizing so that you can have a little bit further assistance and knowledge and understanding while you study for your Swedish driver's license, which you can do in English. The book I have here is called Körkortsboken, and it's in English. It's from the Swedish National Association of Driving Schools. Again, you can take this in combination with driving lessons, and that is recommended. Basically, I'm going to go through this. We'll divide this into small sections so that you can go back and look at each section as you need it and hopefully learn as we go. The introduction is what we'll be covering in this section today. This is a combined training course. Your driver's license, you can begin to practice driving for your Class B driving license at 18 years. The Class B driving license is basically for those, let's see here, with private cars that do not exceed 3.5 tons. So 3.5 tons and light goods vehicles are what we're aiming for here. You can begin to practice drive for your Class B driver's license at age 16 years and at 17.5 years for your private car and light goods vehicle towing, light towed vehicle. So you can do all those. It is recommended that you do a combined training course. That means you can do your theory practice at home, you can take a course at the schools, and then you also have your practical driving. You can hire a private driver's instructor who can do all those for you. What is most important is deep learning. Deep learning means that you understand the context and the reasons for a specific driving rule. It is not simply having the answer for the test, but knowing it so well that you can prevent accidents and help those in need around you. Superficial learning is part of what they don't want you to learn. Superficial learning is where you simply learn for the test and then you forget it. So again, deep learning is more important. And over-learning is most important with your driving. Everything has to become automatic. So you don't need to think about the technical side of driving. It just takes place automatically. You're safer, you're happier, and it's all done there. Now, how can you get your driver's license in Sweden? You can go to a driving school, or you can do it at home. This book, and most everyone recommends a combination. How to drive is best learnt at a driving school, and the repetitive practice you can do at home as long as you have somebody qualified to do that. You need a permit to learn to drive in Sweden. You get a permit by you fill out a special form, you have a health declaration, and a sight test. So you contact a driving school, they can arrange this for you. Or if you want to do that privately, you're going to need to get a supervisor's permit, and that is basically somebody who can assist and be in the car and take responsibility for you while you're driving. There is a syllabus issued by the National Road Association, and the groundwork for what you have to be able to do during your driving test is given from the National Road Association. The Swedish National Association of Driving Schools, or the Sveriges Trafikskolors Riksförbund, is known as STR, and they can help you with all parts of your training, so that's good. As a rule, you're going to start with an information evening. That's when your driver instructor tells you how the driving school works and your syllabus and what your target is and getting all that done. You will also have a personal tuition plan. It can be extremely expensive to get your driver licenses here in Sweden. So again, to work that out individually is important, and they can help you figure out what best fits your budget. There's an extra security factor when you go to an STR, the Swedish National Association of Driving Schools, because they have a STR Reclamations Namnd or claims board. and you can approach in the event of any dispute, and they'll help you sort it out. So that's a little bit extra security if you're concerned about that. But right now we'll talk about the private practice driving, the private option here. With the private practice driving, it requires that you have a permit to learn to drive. That's your first number one important thing. And secondly, that your supervisor have a supervisor's permit. So to do private practice driving, you need a permit and your supervisor needs a permit. And there's a syllabus for practice driving. It's a must. You can get that, so make sure you have that also. The private option is totally up to you, and it's highly recommended that you, even if you go to school, you're going to need to do some private practice. Advice to the supervisor. The supervisor's obligations are that they have to be 24 years of age. They've held a driver's license for the class of vehicle for at least 5 years in unbroken succession. So 5 years, and they have to be at least 24 years old. It has to be issued within a country within the EEA, and that denotes the countries within the EU plus Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. So they have to be proficient in driving the vehicle which you're going to be practicing with. During the practicing driving, the responsibility lies on the supervisor. So should there be an accident or anything occurs, the supervisor is ultimately responsible. Remember that the Övningskör or learner driver, that sign, must be on the car while you practice driving. And the National Road Association syllabus is a must for knowing what knowledge is required. They have information material which can help you with certain tasks, so at some point we'll cover that in this video series, but you need to have that, and they're sold at the driving schools if you're looking for it. Lastly, you can start in cooperation with the STR driving school, and they'll help you to learn all the different things that you know to avoid faulty driving. Lastly here, as part of the information on the introduction, you're going to have a driving test. It consists of a theory test and a practical test. So there's two parts. The theory test is taken via computer. It will be in English, but it will be taken on a computer. So please make sure that you can understand what's going on there. And the results will come immediately. So you will know if you've passed or failed that automatically. The practical test you can take after the theory test. And both of these you're going to have to produce a form of ID, just verifying who you are and that legal stuff. A driving license may be issued to anyone who holds a permit learning to drive, is a permanently resident in Sweden or has studied in Sweden for more than 6 months, is the correct age to be eligible, and has passed the official driving test. So those 4 things. It may not be issued to anyone who has a driving license issued by any other state in the European Economic Area. So again, those 4 things. A permit to drive, a learning permit, a permanent resident of Sweden or has studied in Sweden for more than 6 months, correct age to be eligible, and has passed the official driving test. And that is your goal. The driving test, when your training course is finished, you're going to feel ready. It's time to take the driving test. And if you've done your training privately, you have to arrange a time for the driving test with the National Road Administration. It begins with the theory test. Test takes place on a computer. Results are immediate. After the theory, then it's time for the practical. The practical test is for Class B vehicles, and it has to be equipped with dual control brakes. So if you don't have that, you can rent it from them, but you need to have that. When you have passed the practical test, you will receive a certificate of issue of driving license. This allows you to drive while waiting for your actual license to be made. So it's basically a temporary permit there. Your driver's license is issued for a probationary period of 2 years. That means if your license isn't revoked during those 2 years, then it becomes permanent. But the probationary period is reckoned from your first driving license, and it will be repeated if you have to supplement your driving qualifications. That means if you get in trouble, get pulled over, something illegal, then you have to start over, basically. So that's what you need to do there. And in our next session here, we will start with the driving license qualifications and the introductory road terms. Thanks, and I hope this is helping. Again, I highly recommend that you get the Sjökortsboken. It's in English, and that'll help you go through this. The book that I'm currently using has a copyright, I believe, of 2005, so it may be a little outdated, but the information pretty much stays the same. All right, have a great day.